Hello, welcome to the channel and thanks for joining me. So today it's time for another furniture flip and we've got this pair of matching bedside cabinets today. I actually picked them up on Facebook Marketplace and they came up just as I was on there actually, so I wasted no time in grabbing them because they were in my town, so that was quite fortuitous. And since we've got them home, I've actually already pinched two of the knobs for another project, so do look out for those and see if you can spot them on one of my other videos. And Rachel also wants three of the knobs for a project she's working on, so that's fine. We've already kind of started cannibalizing this. But I've got to say, the knobs that I want for this will be very different anyway. I don't particularly think that these ones match the shape and the design of the units. So they are solid wood, as I say, very heavy, extremely nicely made, dovetail joints and what have you, as I say. So yeah, I just want to crack on and get them done really. I've got the paint on order already. I'm really excited to show you the paint for those. Now, as I say, although they are solid wood, they are made of stripped sort of wood that's been laminated, if you like. So there is a striped pattern, and actually, I might just show you now. You might see it there, especially on that drawer front just there. So I'm not looking to stain those. I'm going to paint the chassis and the drawer fronts, but I think going to try and stain the tops if we can. Now I'll just show you the top of this one actually, because there is sort of wear and tear and chips and what have you, and someone has managed to spill some nail varnish and made a very nasty patch of worn out through lacquer on the top there. So my plan is to try and sand this top off if I can and varnish, sorry, not varnish, but stain that. Failing that, we will paint the tops along with the rest of the chassis and the drawers. So yeah, I reckon the first thing we'll do is give them a decent vacuum out and a degrease, and then just start giving everything a scuff sand and see if any of these chips need sanding through as well. As I say, they are already finished with a varnish, so a scuff sand will be okay for the most part, and we'll go from there. Right, let's crack on. Okay, well that's everything cleaned inside and out, so pretty happy with that now. First thing we're going to do, I think though, is actually try and attack the tops with some fairly coarse grit. It is very solid. I mean, this wood is over an inch thick, I think, on the top, and it is solid wood, so it's not going to hurt anything if I crack on and try and burn through that a bit. Just see if I can actually get the tops to the situation where I could stain them if I wanted to. So we'll do that first, and if no dice, we'll just get them to where we need to fill them. Then we can continue to scuff sand everything ready for the primer. Incidentally, that's going to be a chess table just there, so do keep an eye out on the channel, see how that progresses. Anyway, right, let's get on with this then. Let's get some fairly coarse grit into these tops, see what we can do. Okay, so far so good. It looks pretty promising, to be honest. Managed to get the first layers off. Looks pretty good. So before I go through, what I could do is go through now and go through like an 80 grit, 120, what have you. But what I want to do now is, now that's proof of concept, I want to see if I can actually go for the biggie here, and then at that stage we can either then decide to you know, go for it and commit to the stain, or just start scuff sanding everything for paints. Okay, good news is it appears as though we've managed to get through all of the damage okay. So that was with a 60 grit. I'm now going to go and clean the scratches up with an 80, then go down to a 120. I might stop there. Got the 180 there if we need it. In any event, I'm going to need to scuff sand the rest of the so-called good wood ready for painting anyway. So I'll evaluate it around here just to see how it feels ready for the primer. There we go then. So I've got down 4 grades, got down to 180 in the end. That's enough to get the surface smooth, not like glass. You don't want it too nice at this stage because you need the grain open enough for the stain, but also that was enough bite in that as well, as you can see, just to crack through the lacquer on the sides to give us a key for the paint. So that's those done. Just need to give those a good wipe down now, and then we'll just do the drawer fronts and we'll be ready to have a go at this staining. Okay folks, that's stage one of the prep done. At least we've got the drawer fronts scuff sanded and ready for tape and drape, so we can get some primer on in a while. Also scuff sanded the chassis as well, these cabinets also ready to prime. But I'm doing it slightly the other way around at the moment because, as I've been saying throughout this video, I'm not sure how the stain's going to take to the top yet, so I'm kind of going to try it out now and make sure that we're good to go with the stain. If that works out well, I can mask that off once it's dried and prep the rest of the chassis. What I don't really want to be doing is kind of taping it all off first, going through the whole priming and spray painting procedure on the actual coloured paint, and then find that the stain isn't taken properly or it doesn't look very good, and I've got to go and do it all again for the tops anyway. So that's my school of thought. So I'm just going to go and have a quick wash up, and I'll be back with the conditioner for the wood stain. So for the stain then, I'm going to use this Furniture Clinic system. Basically what we need to do is get some pre-stain conditioner on there. That will essentially settle the wood down and semi-seal the grain, just to limit the amount of stain that goes in, and theoretically, let's see about practically, whether or not it actually regulates the amount of stain so it's not quite so patchy, because obviously different cuts of wood will absorb different amounts of stain. They'll be more porous along their lengths, and of course because this is a multi-piece top, it may be that some of the elements of the wooden top are actually more porous and therefore will soak up more, so we'll wait and see. So the conditioners for that won't take long to dry. Then we've got the wood stain itself. Also there's a matte varnish with this as well. Now I'm kind of thinking I might go for a satin finish ultimately, but I think if we can get the dark oak stain on and I'm happy with it, I might just seal it with this matte varnish for now, just so that we can you know, tape it up and paint the rest of the cabinet and what have you. Then we can always go back and put a satin top coat on for a semi sheen a bit later. So the conditioner just needs to be applied with a brush, leave it to soak in for 5 minutes or so, then we'll wipe off the excess and then leave it for 30 minutes before we actually put the stain on. So we just leave that to soak for another couple of minutes, wipe off the excess and give it a very light sand with some fine grade, ready for the stain. And just while the conditioner is now drying, it's a good time to get the old tape and drape on the drawers, get them ready for priming. Okay, half an hour has passed. Got a little 320 clean soft pad here, sander. I'm just going to very gently just get any roughness of the grain out. There we go, and you can see it is working. It's only a fine dust coming off. Basically what happens is when the wood gets wet, i.e. when you've got a conditioner on there, it's just raised the grain a bit. So I've just gone carefully across the grain, just smoothing it out, and then with the grain to finish, just to leave a nice surface ready for the stain. Okay, I've given it a wipe off now with a microfiber cloth and back to apply the stain. Test on an inconspicuous area first. Well, I'm afraid we've got to go for it, haven't we? That's why we're doing it. So yeah, just going to put this on fairly liberally with this foam brush. leave it to soak in for a minute or so, wipe off any excess with the cloth, along with the grain of course, and then leave it to dry for 10 minutes. So here we go. Well, the first coat's on and dry, and firstly it's fairly pale, which is okay because it means I can put a second coat on. You look at the colour of the drawers behind, the original colour, you can see the difference. Now it almost looks a little bit pink weirdly, so maybe that's because the rest of the unit, if I just move the camera, because the rest of the unit is still got that kind of honey colour, the same as the drawers, it looks a little bit weird. So I'm hoping I get a second coat on and it should go a bit darker with a bit of luck. So here we go, let's do that then. I'll just spin the camera around. So obviously the second coat is going to be darker. It's darker because it's wet as well at the moment, so we'll see how that dries. But at the moment that's more the colour that I'm actually looking for, so fingers crossed anyway. See how it dries. That's 2 coats now on there. I'm not loving it, to be honest. One part didn't take the stain at all, so I've just put a touch on there, just let that soak for a minute. But notwithstanding that, I'm just not digging it at the moment. I'm not sure whether to go and get a darker stain or accept the fact that the grain is just so tight and dense on this wood that it's not really going to take very well and it's just going to look a bit of a mess. So whilst I ponder that, I'm going to go and get some primer on these drawers, at least start prepping things ready for paint. The primer of choice for today is Zinsser's Bullseye. Just going to go for the water-based one. Normally we use the shellac one, but to be fair, that's almost run out. We've got some more on order and we've got nothing major to sort of seal in here. No nasty stains or big knots or anything like that. So this water-based one will be absolutely fine. Okay guys, it's the next morning now, so a quick evaluation. Really pleased with these. I've just come out and taken a look. So I put another coat of stain on last night, a couple of coats of Matt's lacquer top coat, then that one over there actually needed a further wash coat over the top. I then sealed that with some more lacquer before I went to bed last night, and overall I think we're okay. So what I'm going to do in a little minute is just sand down these primed areas ready for paint. But I've just got to step back indoors for a little while because I'm waiting for the main paint colour to arrive. Actually that's on its way this morning. Just a quick note as well, we came out last night and did some more on the chest table. Unfortunately there was some bleed through on the paint, so we had to come back out, sand that back a bit and get some primer on there. So I'll get a second coat of primer on there in a bit as well, but that's just a little side project. These are the ones we'll be working on today, but I'll just show you as well in here the ones that Rachel's working on. So keep an eye on the channel to see the other stuff that's happening. We've actually got Annie Sloan chalk paint on this, and you can see it's had its first coat of top coat on this. So the colour coat is on, a very soft dusky pink, and she's gone for a satin top coat, but it needs another coat. It's kind of in its partially finished stage at this point in time. So there we go, that's what we've been up to, and yeah, so lots to do. So I'm just going to go and wait for this paint to arrive, and then today is going to be the exciting time. In terms of the knobs, I still haven't chosen the ones I want yet. What I want to do is get this painted up to the colour stage and then hold a couple of different colours and textures up against it and get an idea of what I want to put on here in the end. Right, here we go then. So they're now masked off, ready for painting. Obviously a decent amount of polythene over the top, a couple of layers in fact, just to be on the safe side. I've also blanked off the piece at the back that I want to remain as the original wood, and I've also just gone ahead and sort of covered the sliders a bit just to protect the internals from too much overspray. I'm not overly precious about overspray on the inside on this one. The drawers cover everything from the outside, as it were, but obviously it's nice just to keep it a bit cleaner and tidier, and also keep the drawers from running too rough. Obviously if there's overspray on there, then it will impede the smooth running of the drawers. So just basically done that, and now I'm just going to go and get these back in, give them a final wipe, ready for paint, which has arrived. So we'll just come back through in here. I've vacuumed the area ready as well, so removed most of the dust as we can, and the paint has just arrived there. So I'm going to go and open it up now. Here we are then, guys. So after waiting around about 36 hours, I suppose, the paint has finally arrived. Just in time, as I say, because we had the prepping, priming, masking and what have you to do. So what have we got today then? Now again, it's a satin polish, furniture paint I should say, from Rustoleum. We're not sponsored, by the way, but we just happen to really get on well with these paints. They're really nice. So sealed for colour, and the colour today, Odyssey. Oh yeah, oh, this is going to be so cool. This is such a lovely colour. Now we will be watering it down a bit for the spray, so I've got a clean cup here, a clean stirrer, and some fresh clean water as well. So here we go, guys. Oh, I'm so excited, honestly, I really am. Here we go. Oh my days. Oh, just look at that. What a wicked, wicked colour. Love it, love it. And as I say, this paint is so, look at it. It really is so thick. It is lush, it's thick, it's rich. Very nice. Check out some of our other videos, by the way, if you want to see some of this paint being sprayed on as well. Just did a very nice little 2-drawer desk yesterday, which I think is already on the channel. So anyway, I'm going to, this is the messy part. I'm going to put some paint in here. I've got a fair bit to do because I've got both those cabinets and indeed 6 drawer fronts to do. So I'll clean the rest of that mess in a moment, but suffice it to say, we need a little bit of water in there. It's obviously very thick. I mean, you could almost scrape that on, to be honest. So we'll put some water in, give it a mix, work that in gently until we get the right consistency. Then we'll load the gun, give it a test spray and go from there. And I would just say at this juncture that the paint will be filtered, it'll be strained into the cup, and when you are spraying, always have a decent respirator. Protect one's health at all times. First coat is on, obviously quite patchy being the first coat, just more like a scratch coat really. So but everything's done now, So it's going to take probably, or at least 2, probably 3 coats if I'm honest, to get it where I want it to be. But yeah, it's not gone on too bad at all. Now I'm having a few problems with my gun at the moment, so we're having to really give that a strip down and rebuild between each coat, and it's still not performing terribly well. So I might have to use the other gun, but let's see how we get on for now. But yeah, so far so good. Okay guys, there's the second coat done and dusted. I've got to say, these are awesome. I'm so looking forward to seeing how these turn out. Honestly, I can't wait to peel that plastic off the top there and get that wood exposed, see how it all looks. Does need one more coat though, as I suspected, especially because I used a white primer. So 2 coats, to be fair. I've done a brilliant job. Got a really even sheen on there. They're looking fabulous. They're looking really, really good. But just one more coat, I think. Obviously, I've got to say the camera makes it look worse than it is, if you know what I mean. But you can see the satin sheen reflecting on the side there. This one's probably, you can see it's a bit fuller, a bit richer. Looking really good though. So yeah, it's just one more coat to do. And this colour is gorgeous. It's like a purple blue. So yeah, it's actually lighter than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be more like a black with a hint of blue in the lights, but actually it's more like it's not a navy blue, is it? It's more like a purpley blue in real life. A very dark, rich colour though. Looking brilliant. I'm harping on, but yeah, that's it for today. Oh no, well, let me just whiz you through here real quick. So this is the chessboard table that we've been working on as well. We've had that all masked up today. Managed to get a coat around the edge earlier, and then we'd masked all the way across and cut those out with a blade and exposed the parts that we want to be butterscotch, well, clotted cream in fact, I think they are. So just waiting for that to dry. Then we're going to get a second coat off on there, sorry, and lift off the tape. Should leave us a pretty wicked looking chessboard. And then we obviously we've got to lacquer the whole table then as well. Anyway, there we go. So just wanted to show you that whilst I was here. So yeah, just a bit of an end of day thing today. Okay then guys, so we'll call it a day there. Tomorrow we'll get the final coat on. I'm just going to have a play around with some ironmongery now and see which colour I fancy, get those on order. If I'm quick, I might catch the Amazon guy and we might get them for tomorrow evening by the time this final coat of paint is on. Happy days. And I'm just getting ready for the final coat, so giving it a very gentle touch over with some 400 grit paper just to get it as nice and fine as we can before we apply the final coat. Okay, time to mix up the third and hopefully final coat. So as before, plenty of paint in there. I'm going to thin it down a smidge and I'll see you on the other side and we'll pick out some handles, I think. Okay guys, it's the next day now actually. We had major problems with the gun yesterday and suffice it to say halfway through the job had to dig another one out and get all that sorted, and went a bit heavy on the paint at the time. Still under control, it's come out beautifully, but it just took a long time to dry, especially because it's a very dark, wet day outside at the time as well, so it's very humid. Anyways, I think we're good. So Rachel's actually here. We see this pink little dressing chest of drawers that she's been working on. Here she is. Hey. So she's actually working on this little one here. Not a terribly valuable piece per se, but it's a nice way. We're just doing a bit of a practice piece on spraying some Annie Sloan chalk paint and covering it with a Annie Sloan matte lacquer. Is that right?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
And you've got what, 2 coats on now?
2 coats on, yeah. A few touch-ups after sanding, and then we're going to do one final coat, and then this one should be done as well. Cool.
So whilst we've got, and that's the matte poly coat, yeah. So yes, we're doing that to cover the Annie Sloan chalk paint, and that's the lacquer that we're using.
Okay.
So a bit of a slight digression, just while we're both here up in the workshop. So we're actually waiting for some satin poly to come, because we have another project which is the chess table. which we'll show you a bit later, which we need to finish today. But whilst that satin poly is about to arrive, we're also going to put some what would you call it, some satin poly coat over the top of this one as well.
Of the tops, yeah.
Because if you remember, before at the early part of this, we actually already stained and sealed it with a matte varnish. But now is going to be the time, I think, to start peeling away all of this masking tape, revealing what's underneath. Oh, and we do have new knobs as well for the drawers. So today's the day where hopefully everything is going to come together. Right, okay then, first job, I think I'm going to start getting all this, what do you call it again? The
tape and drape.
Tape and drape, thank you. See, I tell you what, age doesn't come alone. It's a good job I've got someone here that knows what they're talking about, eh? Right, okay guys, so yeah, let's get this tape and drape and masking off and what have you, and get ready to coat the tops of these cabinets. Okay, so this will be the first time that any of us have seen the blue against the stained top. So I'm just going to get some of this masking off now. Ah, yes. That's what I like. I'm not actually convinced, you know, whether I'm going to go to the trouble of all of that.
You don't think it needs it now?
I don't think it needs it. Come on, you mates, come and tell us. I actually think there's a nice little
satin. Oh no, that's lovely. No, it doesn't need it, darling.
It's had 2 or 3 coats. After all that, I think I might actually leave. It looks weird through the camera, to be honest, but in real life, that's got a beautiful. It's much more toned down. Let's turn the lights off.
Yeah, lovely.
That looks nice. Do you know what? I think I might just run with that.
You just got to get the hardware on and
yeah,
done.
Nice. What we'll do is we'll get the other one off as well, just to make sure there's nothing obvious between the two. And go from there.
Lovely.
So, time to fit the handles now then. Now, just a bit of background on the handles. I looked at chrome and nickel and all sorts. I did decide that I did really want to keep the single style in the middle. I didn't want to go for a double one and be filling and sanding and re-drilling and what have you. But I thought that the ringed ones are not terribly effective. I think they're too old-fashioned for the look that we've got for this now. And I did like the kind of brass with the navy, like button effect and what have you. Just as a matter of interest, this is the original knob that was on there, but I felt it was a little bit lost on the actual unit, sort of something and nothing really. Now, as I said just now, we've used those on a couple of other projects, so all is not lost in that respect. In fact, one of them we've repurposed by giving it some gold paint, and we're using it on that other project that you may have just seen, the pink dresser unit. But anyways, decided basically that gold was definitely the way forward, and to that end gone for a nice brushed gold colour. Now I did pick up these ones, which I thought were really cool because they've got some nice facets on there, and they're a satin, and colour wise they look nice, and you know, really nice actually against the blue in real life. And they're quite big, they're quite substantial, but a tiny bit fussy perhaps. And also I'm not really sure about the round on the such a rectangular drawer, and that sounds like an obvious statement, but sometimes you've got to kind of match the shapes as best as you can. So to that end, anyway, finally plumped for this one, which is square, again, satin gold, nice and big. But I think that is going to be perfect. Very simple statement piece, stained top, 3 square knobs in a row, piff paff poof, happy days. So I'm going to get those on. Any touch-ups that I might need to do, I'll get those done as well. And well, I'll see you on the other side of a fade to black, and we'll take a look at the final reveal. So here they are then, the matching pair of 3 drawer chests, looking absolutely fantastic in their new colour scheme. When they came in, they were always nice, solid and sturdy pieces of furniture. They'd just seen better days. There was acetone or nail varnish remover damage on there and general wear and tear. Also, the knobs left a lot to be desired, a little bit too small for these sorts of units. So we've stained the top, having stripped it back, and it's a nice oak colour now with a matte finish to them. Also, a few coats of Rustoleum Odyssey satin furniture paint has been applied as well. So they look absolutely fantastic now, all topped off by some new knobs, and these are satin gold anodized units, which are far more befitting for the actual aesthetic that we were going for. So overall, really pleased with them. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. Thanks very much for coming along. Please do subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates. We've got long format videos and some shorter ones as well. Plenty more to come. So as I say, do stay in touch and we'll see you soon. Thanks again and all the best for now. Bye bye.